Hey everybody, Coach here. Welcome to this week's video. Hey, this week we're talking about DIY landscape project management. How to keep it all together while you plow through something that maybe you've never done before. Anyway, fail to plan, plan to fail. That's what we're talking about, so let's get started. Hey, you know, I learned early on as a professional landscape contractor and designer and business owner that it really benefited me, and maybe it'll do the same for you, to keep things in an organized way, especially when it came to my contractual jobs or projects that I had going every single season. And I truly believe, very strongly as a matter of fact, that it's almost more important for a DIY project person or manager to do the same thing. And that's what we're doing here today. You know, if landscaping is not your day-to-day work zone, you can kind of look at it as a bunch of strung together tasks and events that go simultaneous with each other to come out with a finished product and a beautiful, admirable finished product. That is, if it is approached correctly from the beginning and even before the beginning. And when I say beginning, I'm not talking about day one shovel in the ground. I'm talking many days and even sometimes weeks or months before actual breaking ground takes place. It's super important. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks today that is going to allow you to kind of focus in and get really laser focused on how you can plan your project, how you start the project, and how this planning and management works throughout the entire course of the project, and a couple avoidance of pitfalls that can happen. You know, managing a project, whether it is 100% on you or you're bringing in a professional here and there to do some element of the landscape project, either way, you have to have it wrapped around your head really, really tight, and maybe, just maybe, written down so that you have a order of work events that are going to happen throughout the project so it runs smoother. And when things run smoother, the stress levels, the frustrations, the setbacks, the budget explosions tend to be kind of avoided. At least I hope they are. I think there's nothing worse for a person to stuff all the tasks and all the things that they have to do. Just stuff it inside their head when they've never done this before at all and expect perfection and expect a professional result. It just gets too jumbled. You know, there's nothing worse than thinking you have it all under control until that day that your electrician and your cement guy show up on the same day. And the electrician finds that you haven't even trenched the trenches and put the conduit in that you said you were going to do, and you don't have the conduit and you don't have the trencher. So step by steps, which brings me to that giveaway that I give you guys every single week for free on the website, that 15-step DIY landscape project checklist. People may scoff at it a little bit, but not when they have it in their hand and they listen to the audio podcast that goes with it. It kind of zones them in a little bit about, hey, there's a little more to this than just putting a shovel in the ground. You know, anybody who's had a vocation or career, chances are you learned it from somewhere or someone. If you went to college, you had books. And if you had books, you tend to, use them, read them, take your quizzes and tests, and you passed the class, you moved on. Same thing goes for a landscape project. So, hey, if you're getting the checklist, take a look at the ebook and the digital course. I mean, my gosh, can you imagine that as a Christmas present coming up to somebody who knows full well that they're going to be doing their project in the spring? That's a pretty nice gift, and a fairly inexpensive one as well. So check it out, youryardcoach.com. So the way I approached every single job was I had a manila folder. I called it the job folder. And in that folder, I had my client's contract that they have signed, and I've had a copy of their deposit check, anything that they had paid me throughout the project. And I had who my subcontractors were going to be, what their phone numbers were, and the day they were supposed to be showing up. And then I had my schedule, my estimated start date, my estimated finish date, and what I needed to do in the first week of work. That really set the tone for how I approached each job, step by step by step. And I never had more than 2 jobs at a time ever going, and 90% of the time it was only 1 job. That way they all flowed really easy. And as some clients said, "Dang, coach, you almost make this stuff look easy." It was not easy. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the curtain, behind the scenes. Many times, especially jobs that I suspected, depending on the time of year, that I needed to get ahead of the curve, I was ordering parts and pieces and stuff many days and many weeks ahead of schedule, especially plant material in the spring and early summer, especially cement type of things. When I had a subcontractor coming in, and he and I would sit down and discuss, are you ordering the concrete or am I ordering the concrete? The concrete is going to be poured. Do we need a pumper? Do we need how many guys to do this thing? And everything was dialed in. It made me sleep so much better at night, most of the time. And the same thing goes for a DIY project. When I was doing the landscaping on my own ranch, my gosh, I did the same exact thing. I had a schedule planned out. I used my own work trailer, so my whiteboard that was in the trailer, I had the punch list, daily write-outs every single day. And you know something? That project, although it was long and protracted, it was, good Lord, over time I bet you it was almost 2 years, maybe even more when the decks were actually finished. So, you know, you had to stay on top of that stuff. Here in a DIY project that you might be taking on, the same thing applies, and it really allows a rookie or a newbie to really get focused in on what needs to be done. And when you learn a little bit and you gain a little confidence, then when you apply those new knowledge and your new skills to the project itself, your confidence is going to grow, your momentum in the project is going to grow, and you're going to constantly move forward. So take, for instance, a backyard project that somebody's going to do. Let's say the Joneses are doing it starting April 15th, tax day. So they're starting it. And demolition is generally, on an established yard, generally the first step. Yeah, there's the 811 marking of things so utilities don't get hit and all that. But day one demolition, all kinds of things should be in place for that day one. And it should be written out somewhere. And you should have the people who are going to help you all scheduled up. And you should have materials there, such as tools, dumpster, dump trailer, whatever it might be. And that stuff was taken care of many days in advance over here on your schedule or on your whiteboard, one or the other. Your schedule or your whiteboard can be put in your garage, in your shed, on the back wall of your house where the project's taking place, whatever works for you. I've even seen people put them on their phones under notes and other stuff. So whatever is convenient and what is a daily reminder, you can't pass by it without seeing it and getting in the habit as the project starts in checking off those little tasks. Talk about something that'll make you feel good. When that task is done, you get to check it off. Yeah, it's just like a huge homework assignment in college. You know, you did this, you've researched that, you've interviewed this, whatever it was, it's the same thing in the landscape project. And it's going to work for you, I promise you. So when doing the planning and the scheduling and you're managing your project, be realistic. Be realistic. Even to a certain degree, insult yourself just a little bit. And here's what I mean by that. And that is, if you think you can get all your demolition done on the first Saturday and Sunday, give yourself an extra day. Give yourself that next Saturday to just kind of finish it off. If you've never done this, you may not know exactly how much work or how much time it is going to take. You may have missed something. You may not have a particular tool there when you really needed it. So think about giving yourself an extra day. Then, if it does turn out to be Saturday and Sunday and you're all done, you're a whole day ahead of schedule already. And it will feel good and you'll go, boom, hey, I got this thing. I can get my head around this. Oftentimes, your daily punch list will not involve things actually at the job site and allow for those times to come about. For instance, many times I had to go pick materials up And sometimes they were in the general area of my job site. Sometimes they were not. I can remember going 35, 40 miles away to pick stuff up, like mulches, like certain stonework, whatever it might have been. And so my daily punch list, maybe on Wednesday, was finish irrigation and bury and grade and compact, etc. Maybe hang a transformer for irrigation, hook up the valves, whatever it might have been. But then Thursday, half the day was committed to going 40 miles away and picking up X number of yards of something or a whole bunch of rock or whatever it might have been and come back to the job site. There's nothing worse than skipping that step unless you plan on paying for delivery for everything. Then you just have to make sure that you call ABC Material Company and say, hey, I'm Mr. Jones, do you remember my job in the delivery and are we still on schedule? And you do that the day before it was supposed to arrive. That way, you're ahead of the curve. If for some reason ABC Material Company goes, oh, dang, yeah, we're a little behind. I don't think we can get it there on Thursday. Then the key to a landscape project success is always having a plan B. Always. So if ABC Material Company goes, yeah, Mr. Jones, I can't have those rocks there till Friday, then you have to have a plan B to fill up your Thursday, the rest of your Thursday. Maybe it's finishing trenching, maybe it's running lighting wire, maybe it's anything but obviously your rocks arriving. So remember that. It will mitigate all the frustration and the anger. You can swear for 5 seconds, just MF them and get it out of your system in 5 seconds. Now, move on. Ruminating on it is only going to downshift your momentum in the project tremendously. When you are in the middle of a landscape project on your own, make sure that you have touched bases with all the professionals that you may or may not be bringing into the project. If you are having a concrete finisher, if you are having an electrician pull electric from your panel, or creating a sub panel that you're going to pull to a shed, whatever it might be, always make sure you're contacting those people ahead of when the scheduled date is and just confirm, hey, you're on schedule, right? You're going to be here on Friday like you said you were going to, because I have things starting Monday that I have to have your stuff done on Friday. In this day and age, the age that we're in right now with supply chain shortages, overworked and highly understaffed trade skill individuals out there, you are going to have to approach each project as if there's going to be hang-ups and there's going to be the unexpected. And if you enter into this, if you enter into that, you will so much keep your blood pressure down to normal, and your plan Bs will always come into effect and have you still move forward. Plain and simple. Either that, or if it comes to a screeching halt because of Mother Nature, you know, she dumps 2 inches of rain on you in a day and now your project is kind of a mud pit for a few days, just exhale, give yourself a few days off, the other guys will come back and the project's delayed a few days, but it's not the end of the world. If you're a professional out there, you know how hard that can be because your schedule, your professional schedule, your paychecks rely on that, and you just have to suck it up and do something different. So as your project evolves and it's moving forward, you will find a kind of a real sharpened pencil of your own mentality of what is going to be needed. And you can anticipate, you can start anticipating just like a pro of what is needed next. You have it written down. You've picked up the phone and you've called. You have stuff being dumped in the driveway. And you will find you're not going to be the same person at the end of your successful landscape project as you were when you started. I guarantee that. That's for sure. And here's a newsflash for you. Using friends and family and acquaintances to come help you. Subcontracting with other professionals to do certain elements of your landscape project. Do not ever think for even a minute that you are the #1 focus of their lives. Never, ever. They got their own stuff going on. You got your stuff going on. What you can hope for the best is that they remember the obligation or the commitment that they have given to you. That's all you can possibly hope for. If it's friends and family, hey, if John, Kim, Bob, and Sally said, hey, we'll be there on demo day, and Friday you call and say, hey, remember last month I said, can you give me a hand here on Saturday? And only Kim says, hey, I'm there for you. And the other ones go, nyah, nyah, I kind of forgot. Expect it. Honestly, expect it. Maybe you want to thumb screw them a little bit and remind them of their commitment, but sometimes that can damage friendships as well. So you can always say, hey, I get it, I understand, but if you can, I'd really appreciate and really need your help. Besides, we had the beer and burgers afterwards, remember? Now, as far as professionals, when you've hired professionals, you've entered into contracts of when things are supposed to start and finish and costs and everything else. You have a little more leverage and you have a little more assertiveness that you can bring to bear. If concrete is supposed to be formed on Monday and poured on Tuesday, and you're calling on Friday afternoon just to confirm, and they go, yeah, that rain last week set us back about 3 days. Well, you can say politely, I just want to remind you, you have my deposit. And how come I haven't heard from you? How come I'm having to call you to verify you're going to be here? Why have you not picked up the phone? Why have you not called me? I certainly hope I have selected the right professional for the job, and see where it goes. Don't come out and just lambaste them, because they're going to go, hey, you know what? F off and die, and here's your deposit back. I don't want to work for you anyway. So you don't want to get there, and now you're really hung out to dry. You're in the middle of your landscape project, and now you have to go find another cement contractor. So handle everything with kid gloves. Be firm, be fair, and understand a lot more than you think you have to. One thing I don't want you to do, and that is don't lose focus as you approach the finish line. If you've climbed that landscape hill, like I described in a video a couple weeks ago, you've climbed that landscape hill and you've summited it, and now you're on the downhill slope, don't give up on all the punch list stuff. Every day you have new things. Maybe you only have 6 tasks totally left in the whole project. You think you have your head all the way around it. But then you say, okay, I got plants are in. I got to drip irrigate it. Okay, oh shoot, I got all the underground irrigation, but I don't have the drip irrigation tubing. I got to get drip irrigation tubing and emitters and maybe some emitter tubing and other stuff like that. Those are the kinds of things that you have 3, 4, 5 things every day that you have to make sure you check off to keep it going smooth all the way across that finish line. If you need to bark in the planting beds and all that other kind of stuff, that bark should be there the day before. Make sure you put out tarps and other things if you can, because sometimes bark can stain a driveway and stain a street really bad. Make sure you can actually dump in the street and it can be there for 24 hours, one way or another. Sometimes cities get kind of pissed off about that stuff. And always keep your eye on the sky. Like today, I know we got rain coming in and the end of today, probably around midnight, and we got rain for the next 2 days. And it kind of affects how Maestro and I are moving around right now. But we plan for it. Your project manager duties do not end until you cross that finish line. The broom is put away. All the dirt is cleaned up. Everything is watered in. Everything has been tested. You know what the weather's going to be for the first week of your newly installed landscape. You've made allowances for how much water it's going to take, what you need to do, what you need to check, and then exhale. My friends, you've done it. And with a little bit of help from a coach who has got you over the finish line, maybe. Hey, I am always here if you need a little help, you really do. There's not a lot of free info out there. Most of the time, guys like me, we charged people when we came out to consult for them. It's how we made our living. Right here, hey, buy me a cup of coffee. Anyway, that's all I have for you this week. As always, to your landscape success, make sure you check out the podcast if you're on the go, and Plan of the Week is always there as well. I'll see you guys next week, every Friday. To your landscape success, bye for now. Hey, as promised, I promised to answer questions that were sent in, and this question came from Julie E. Julie, you wanted to know about Zone 7 and whether your Mandevilla needed to come in? Well, you got it in writing, and now you got it on video. Yes, by all means, bring it inside or bring it into a greenhouse and get it out of any temperatures below 35 degrees. If you bring it inside, keep it away from heater vents and give it a little food and maintain the water levels because it's going to use a lot more. Thanks for writing in your question. Anybody else out there? I'll be happy to answer questions that you might have.